The difference is I would say I'm much happier now. So a year on from the first HYROX that I did, which went badly, I was able to knock like 7 minutes off it. But the main thing, and the thing we talked about when we first started, was I'd had conversations with my wife, Alice, the effect it was having on our teenage boys. So there was a direct correlation between, yes, there were changes in training, but the ability to be able to do the training, which meant knocking the 7 minutes off, was down to the nutrition. I just wouldn't have been able to do it. I talked about, so I've done this session and I can't get enough food in. And you said, okay, you've got to think of ways.
I'm en route to see old client Sam Pink today, who is a very active 50-year-old. He has an active job as a tennis coach, but he is HYROX addicted. Prior to our coaching, Sam was really struggling with low energy in his sessions, just wasn't getting the results from all the effort he was putting in. Right the way through now, so he's seeing consistent PBs in all his lifts, and he actually qualified for world champs with his partner. What's interesting though, is that his relationship with nutrition changed throughout our coaching, and today we're going to try and work out why that actually happened. Come on in, come on in. Good to see you.
You too, you too.
Really well. So this is it.
This is it. So that's where I work.
It's where you go to work.
It's where the magic happens.
Okay.
So it's up to you, totally. We can film down there, or we can go in the clubhouse. Totally up to you.
I reckon we try outside.
Okay.
You look all wrapped up.
Can I stick some stuff away first?
Yeah,
is that all right?
Yeah, of course. You can show me how to actually do a backhand.
How long have we got? How long have we got? I mean, I'm good, but I don't know if I'm that good.
Yeah. So we're 8 months on. Could you try and explain where you were before you started coaching?
So before we started to work together, my nutrition was very set, and it was a cause of, I'd had an injury to my knee, which meant I felt like I'd put on quite a lot of weight.
Sure.
And then a friend had done something, a sort of an eating and fitness sort of program, and had the results are amazing, and I'll come back to this, but the actual effects are maybe not as great as I thought they were. So physically, I did this and it was amazing, but it was very strict and it was very low carbs and high protein.
Okay, so this was almost like a quick fix, like let's just get your body in the right shape.
75 days. And
so one of those like nutrition challenges. Okay.
And the idea was is that they would give you ways to live your life afterwards like that.
Okay.
The issues that came up, looking back at the pictures, I was incredibly thin. So to the point where the person that I am, if I get into something, then I'm 110%.
Yeah.
So I became very thin. I couldn't see it and didn't see it until after the fact.
Yeah.
But the main thing, and the thing we talked about when we first started, was I'd had conversations with my wife, Alice, the effect it was having on our teenage boys. So there was a direct correlation between, and you don't really understand this as a dad. You, of course, as their parents, you are the direct influence. And I've got an older son who is very into fitness as well.
Yeah.
And it meant that he was following the similar things I was, which for him, as a long-term thing, were not healthy at all.
Okay. So it was the marketing of a quick fix, get abs now, 75-day challenge, the sort of almost guarantee of the result if you just and you did it.
Yeah.
But actually it compromised nutrition and the relationship with food and the knock-on effect as a role model to your son and family.
I mean, in lots of ways, I have, and we talked about this a lot, I have a very interesting relationship. Well, I think it's interesting. And the more I talk to people about it, it actually feels like it's a sort of a common theme. So when I was younger, I was very overweight. That had an effect, that still has an effect now as to how I view food. And what this thing offered, as you said, was a quick fix.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is amazing. And because the change is so dramatic, you feel amazing.
Yeah.
But the sustainability of it it's just not possible.
Especially for someone who trains quite as much.
So
at that point before our coaching, were you doing any HYROX? Had you done one?
I'd done one, and it had gone badly, and mainly because I just couldn't sustain the effort. Okay. So looking back at it now, the way I fueled and ate before, and the way I ate and fueled for my training, the results just weren't happening. So I was very thin. So I wasn't as I was quick. Maybe I was quick, but I've always been quick. That's just one of the things because of coming from a triathlon background. But in terms of strength, it wasn't there. 15 minutes to do one of the stations, which was a pulling station.
Wow.
It was hard. So I think what happened is we sort of got together, and you very quickly established that you just don't eat enough food. or you don't eat enough of the right food.
We had some red flags for underfueling.
Yeah, quite a lot of red flags. Quite a lot of red flags.
Okay, so if we now to contrast that to 8 months on post, like how do you feel about, obviously your slight injury now, but maybe how did you feel prior to the injury about training and fueling?
I mean, it became very much, my diet became a lot more varied. I became a lot more adventurous in the food I was cooking. In terms of fueling, I like to have a structure, that's how I work, and it wasn't a structure in the way the thing was before. It was very, well look, you're going to need to get food in at this point if you're going to train at this point. So regularly sessions are, I'll do a class back to back, or I'll run in the morning and then maybe even do a class back to back, which means sort of 3 workouts in one day. So what I had for breakfast changed, and it was almost...
How so?
So a good example was, so for breakfast, before we start working together, would be a bowl of yogurt and some berries.
Yeah, like healthy.
Healthy,
Yeah.
but not healthy for what I was doing.
Okay.
Not fit for purpose at all.
Yeah, a good weight loss. Like it's going to be low energy, high protein.
Yeah. But in terms of trying to achieve what I wanted to achieve, it's not going to cut the mustard. So one thing that really made a difference, we talked about foods that would give quick amounts of energy very quick. So if we took specifically, if I was running in the morning and then training later in the day, is that, okay, so you have your breakfast, which changed from, it wasn't just yogurt and berries, it's 2 handfuls of muesli. It might be a slice of sourdough bread as well. And I'd have that before I run. Come back from the run, then it'd be another slice of bread, big thick sourdough, peanut butter. Second breakfast. So it was so that the fueling, I wasn't almost fueling for the workout I'd just done. I was working for what was coming before. And what is really good is that almost now carries on to the night before. I'm aware I need to, and it's funny because it sounds like, oh, there's pressure to get food in, but there's not. It's more, it's sort of saying you're allowed to do that. This is allowed.
This is actually the right thing to do.
The right thing to do.
Food is on your side. It's not trying to be the sort of the enemy almost.
Exactly. And I think what happened is within 6 months, I was really lucky by a slight fluke, a slight twist of fate. I ended up going to go to HYROX to compete in the World Championships, which was amazing.
I mean, you say that, twist of fluke. You put in the work, you got the time, just because, I think with the twist of fluke was a few people...
So people in other categories didn't take the space, so it rolled down and
Still
then...
means you got there, Sam.
Yeah. but it was, it was a bit of stars aligning. But what it meant was, as well, is, and I remember the guy who I do it with, we hadn't seen each other for a while. And someone that works with you as well. Chris. And he walked into the gym and he was like, what's happened? And I remember over the summer holidays, I came...
As in, like, comparing where you were before?
He was like, everything is bigger. You look stronger. And not like, and I think I'm probably towards the heaviest I've ever been, but it's not like...
It's functional weight.
Exactly.
And if that's going to be the thing that's pushing the sled, like that's going to be aiding performance. Right?
Exactly. And one of the big changes I did that in the summer, and we carried on. And then in October of last year, so a year on from the first HYROX that I did, which went badly, I was able to knock like 7 minutes off. And yes, there were changes in training, but the ability to be able to do the training, which meant knocking the 7 minutes off, was down to the nutrition. I just wouldn't have been able to do it. There's no way. I mean, like an example was like on a Friday, I would go into the gym and spend an hour doing compromised running, which is pulling the sled, get straight off the sled, get on a bike or on a runner. And to be able to do that, you cannot do that on a bowl of yogurt and berries. It just doesn't work.
It sounds like the mindset shifted from being reactive with nutrition, like I'm hungry, I'm really hungry, I need something now, to being more proactive.
Totally.
And actually you're thinking about the amount of sessions that you've got, and you're planning for that and eating accordingly.
And things will come to me from our sessions, like little conversations we've had. And one was about, I talked about, so I've done this session and I can't get enough food in. And you said, okay, you've got to think of ways of how you can get this calorie count up or how you can just get this energy back in. And we talked about smoothies. That's what I liked, is the conversations were organic. So it wasn't you telling me or saying, this is the structure. It was like, look, these are the options. What do you think? What are the things you can do? So Fridays became a normal thing. I'd do that workout, then a class, and then I'd need to go to the supermarket. On the way to the supermarket, there was a place I could get a smoothie. So I would pick that up, and that would just be part of the overall structure. So I think where I was from then to now, I think the difference is an allowance of myself to eat more varied, and also say, you know what, like today, I'm running a course, I'm not particularly active, but later on I'm going to probably run for an hour and a half. So rather than running for an hour and a half and then after that thinking, oh my God, I'm so hungry, the food, I'm going to be getting ready to do that. I think the one other phrase you said to me as well so we talked about the background that I came from doing triathlons.
Yeah.
And you said in not so many words that basically you're used to being exhausted all the time.
Yeah.
And so you take that as the given. And I think when I started training and doing the HYROXes and a bit of CrossFit, I just took it that I should feel totally washed out and battered all the time.
Yeah.
And what it actually was is that I wasn't fueling in the correct way, and that change, the change.
I think in
massive.
the ultra endurance space, especially like 10, 20 years ago, it was very much, let's just go low carb, let's make the body work hard. But HYROX, it's about intensity. It's about holding the biggest intensity for an hour.
Yeah.
So like, especially the training for that, we've got to fuel it.
I mean, it's really interesting, and it seems really straightforward now, but there's a guy who's like the poster boy for HYROX, a guy called Hunter McIntyre, and I was listening to him on a podcast, and he basically just said, everybody needs to eat more. He said, people do not eat enough, I mean, he was a bit like, I don't eat the right things, but I mean, he's a professional athlete, so he's training like 25 hours a week, so he can probably get away with. But even so, the essence is what we worked on, that if you don't put enough energy in, you are not going to get the results you want.
It's the appreciation that if you're training for HYROX, you're not the general population.
No.
Like, you're doing a lot more work.
Yeah.
So actually the standard amount of food that's become sort of normal just isn't enough. It's particularly carbohydrate.
Yeah.
You just need to get a lot more. So my next question is, in the program, was there any like thing that like made it all click a bit, or any like sort of catalyst to actually enable some of these mindset shifts that you've had?
Yeah, so you did a really good thing where, and you said before, we don't normally, this is not about counting calories, this is not about, but you said in this instance for you, I want you to put your heart rate monitor on, and I want you to tell me for a couple of weeks how many calories you're burning per workout when you're doing it.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then you had this groovy little spreadsheet, which I didn't know how it worked, but it was good. And I'd put the numbers in, and it would work it all out, and then it would give a figure at the end. And and then we talked about how many calories I was taking in. And unsurprisingly, the numbers to begin with were just so like this, so far away. And the sort of aim was to get it closer together.
Yeah.
And once that started to happen, that was sort of like when all the magic happened. And that one thing, I think, really helped, because it means, and it doesn't mean that every time I'm looking at my watch, checking how many calories I've burned.
Well, I suppose once you have that information, you then build the habits around it.
Exactly.
And it then becomes intuitive. It's just, I think we needed to highlight the discrepancy.
And the other side of that as well, of course, is that if, say, I'm not going to do tons of exercise, I would say in the past that the way that I was doing it before, there would be periods where I would, because I was so hungry, and because I was so calorie deficient, I would just, eat. I'd open the fridge and destroy it. Yeah. And that doesn't happen anymore. And also
that doesn't help the relationship.
No, and that's a terrible relationship to have.
Because we say underfueling, it's intentionally restricting, and then the body's giving you a signal that's so big, you must eat now, and then you feel almost at the whim of those signals.
Yeah, and it's that feeling, like I think I talked about, like the acceptance, the allowance, the thing that I'm making the choices now, and working together rather than my body working against me. But that thing with the spreadsheet, that made it was a key thing, this idea.
Made it land.
Yeah.
And before the coaching, was there anything that you're a bit nervous about before actually starting coaching?
Yeah, I think that the mind frame that I was in, I was concerned, and we had conversations about this, that I would put on weight. Yeah. So this idea, I'm going to get heavier, I'm going to get bigger, is still something, I don't know what, well, it must be because I've just said it without thinking. So
I suppose that makes sense with the previous history that you've already explained.
I mean, I was, when I was like 14, I weighed more than I weigh now. So it was there is still there's always going to be a little bit of that there. But the nice thing is that the coaching allowed me to realise that it's okay. It's okay to eat a bit more. It's okay to even be a bit bigger, because it is helping you achieve what you want to achieve. I think there was when I was doing triathlons, I was very not unconcerned with how I looked, but I recognised the connection between how I looked and what I was trying to achieve.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm around there again, that it's not all about having a massive six-pack and a pair of huge bicep. It's actually being functional and being able to do the things I want to do, and that my body is going to look different if I do that.
Yeah, changing the mindset from aesthetic to performance.
Exactly,
Which is actually really difficult to do in HYROX, because it's a very tops-off sort of sport.
And it's interesting, I don't take my top off when we race. I am not. And I think that's, that is just my own concern. But for me as well, my focus is really, I'm not about, like, I have an Instagram account with about 6 followers, so it's not.
You're not doing HYROX for those reasons, yeah.
It's, I think what it is I just love the element of you are smashing it out.
Yeah.
You can't smash that out though unless you're fueling. And the interesting thing is that the last HYROX I did in London with Chris, where, again, it was another PB. It was ridiculous, 4 minutes off of our time before.
So the first one, then it was 6 minutes off.
7 minutes off.
7 minutes off.
That minute makes all the difference, Chris.
Sorry, 7 minutes off. And then another 4 minutes off.
Yeah, so the single went 7 minutes down.
Jeez.
The doubles, when we shifted to pro, when we did it in America, it was 1 hour and 13.
And that was the world champs?
Yeah, and then at London we did 1 hour and 10. And now the plan was in March, but we'll see, depending on how my shoulder is that we try and go under 1 hour 10 and see if we could qualify again.
Wow.
But I think the difference is, and when I saw Chris, so the time when I saw Chris, I was like, geez, and he'd been working with you, I was like, and he said as well, and it was very interesting. Yeah. So in a similar thing, we both said we feel heavier, but he said, the amount of muscle mass, he's got a fancy thing that you step on, and he said his muscle mass is just, proportionally gone up massively, and he says he felt so much better. But I think that showed in the hour 10 on the events where it was one endurance, because it is endurance, and the weights, it showed. It did show.
So I mean, like, beyond the performance and the changes in muscle mass, what maybe changed that's slightly bigger than that? Because I think we've mentioned the relationship with food, but like, what's been the impact of that longer term?
So I've gone to much more interested in cooking lots of different foods. So experimenting with
more time in the kitchen.
Yeah, more time in the kitchen. And I realised I really enjoy cooking, because when I first spoke to you, I sort of said that it's important to me that the food is clean, and that this means I do eat chocolate and things like that, but I like the base of what I'm doing. I want to have good stuff going in. So I made much more experiments with that.
I'm just going to jump in there, because I remember this was sort of the mindset pre-coaching as well. It was almost ultra clean.
Yeah, I mean, that was bonkers.
I think something that we tried to work on was actually the acceptance that you can have some sugar.
Yeah.
And actually you probably need to have some sugar to be able to get enough carbohydrate in, particularly around the sessions. So almost like reframing that sugar is a bad thing, that actually can be quite a useful thing.
Definitely.
As well as sort of improving diet.
Well, there's something really interesting there in that, so for a long time, so when I was doing triathlons, perfectly normal, energy gel in, woof.
Yeah.
When I did the crazy 75-day thing, that sort of went out the window, and the way I was racing applied that as well. And then recently, for the first time in a long time, the last race I did in London, I took an energy gel on, and I felt so much better for the rest of the race and afterwards. But I think you're dead right. So at the moment, I'm experimenting with the snacks that I have in between eating.
Yeah.
So I'm making like different flapjacks, and you give some great ideas for protein bars and things like that. So I use those. In fact, I made some last week, and what I've tried to do is I've tried to add to those, or say, well, how can I actually need more energy, so I need to have some oats in that as well, because you do also have granola bars. So, but the nice thing is the opportunity to have a play about with it. So I think you talked about you gave this really nice sort of spreadsheet of loads of different foods, what sort of things you can be eating. So I think the way it's changed now going forward is my diet is so much more varied. If I go out for dinner, I don't feel I need to specify exactly what restaurant we're going to go to and what it needs to serve.
So a bit more freedom in that eating out space, okay.
You know, and I think we talked about the relationship I have with my son who's into fitness and food has totally changed, which is great. And it's funny, his appearance has changed as well since he started to eat differently.
Oh my God.
And so he's like, which is good because the thing is that sometimes you need, I think, it to take that step to trust that it's going to work.
Well, that's it. I think there's you feel very daunted to be like, well, I kind of know I need to eat more, but what happens if I do? And almost having like a professional saying, well, no, this is what we need to do. So we showed the science. It's almost, if we looked at it in steps, it's this acceptance that we were underfueling, we need to do something about it, and then how to go about lifting it up.
Yeah.
Then considering the timings, so that you're now thinking about planning ahead, like we said, being more proactive instead of reactive. And then it's the variety, making it fun. Because all of those things together then shape the relationship with food, I think. And
it makes you want to do it more. It doesn't
push and pull system.
Because the other thing is when you have an incredibly structured thing of you're only going to eat a few things, the thing is you won't stick to it, and you'll eventually fall into the trap of almost it was like there'd be binge eating just because you're cutting so many things out. But now it's much more varied. You know, it's much more interesting. You know, and I think that is the big difference. And like you said, having a coach to do it, that's the big difference. It's something I definitely wouldn't have been able to do on my own.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. Where do you think you'd be if you hadn't done this?
I'd still be doing it. I think I'd be underachieving. I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
There's one thing we didn't talk about is that it was really interesting. One of the things we talked about was that my moods would be, and after training and being physically depleted and energy depleted, I wasn't happy. And the difference is I would say I'm much happier now, which is, you can't put a price on that. That is.
I suppose the final thing then is just maybe what would you say to someone who's thinking about Performance Accelerator?
I think you do it. I think that in terms of coaching, and that's the difference, it's not someone telling you how to live, like someone helping you to live it a bit better.
Yeah.
So, which is what coaching is all about. Often we know, but we need someone to help us nurture to get us there. And for me, the way you hit the nail on the head, you got me, and it was totally applicable to me. And I'm sure, and the great thing about coaching is that will change whoever it is.
Yeah. That's why I love coaching.
Yeah, I mean, that is coaching. It's reading the person you're going to work with, and then you've got all the knowledge in there, and it's not about, people think it's about all the spreadsheets and everything like that, which it is, but it's about how that comes across to the other person.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh, that's for me. I get that. Yeah. And that means you trust the process. So yeah, I wouldn't hesitate, definitely.
Incredible. Well, thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it there, and I'm going to wish I had taken you up on the offer of a Coke. Go on. But